So I'm out in the backyard this afternoon, and I've been watching this little piece of roof here. It's covered with moss. Um, the whole shed roof used to be like this, and we had a couple of big pine trees. There's one stump there, there's another one there, and we had the trees taken down a few years ago. And the moss on the main shed eventually went away because it faces both east and west, and it gets sunlight now. But this little piece faces north, and some of the moss went away, but it's still looking pretty rotty. So before winter I want to clean it off. So I've been looking up online to see what other people are doing, and they got guys coming out with $40,000-$50,000 pieces of equipment and blowing the shingles off and dancing around in white suits. That's not going to happen. So I think I'm just going to get up there with a ladder and get some cleaner and just see what I can kind of scrub off and see how that works. And maybe that'll be enough to kind of turn the tide, and what little sun it gets will make a big difference. So let's see what we can do. Okay, it's been a couple days. I got distracted with other projects. So I want to clean this roof off this morning. First I'm going to hose it down, take any loose debris off, and then I'm going to scrub it with a brush. Got this brush on a pole that the gravity likes. I'm going to start off using pine sol. I think that might help me out pretty good, and it's not really that caustic. So we'll try that and see what happens. So let me get going here. So today I'm using pine sol to clean this roof. I could use bleach, a bleach solution in water, or I could use something with zinc sulfate in it. That will kill the moss as well. But I opted for the easier of the cleaners, and it's something that it'll be better on the environment, I think. Plus I had it. You don't have to go buy anything. Some commercial companies will put a moss control powder on there, which contains zinc sulfate, and that will help kill it off. Most importantly, when you're washing the roof, don't use a power sprayer. It'll tear up your shingles. You always just want to use the hose and a light scrubbing. You notice that I'm not really scrubbing that hard. In order to prevent this from coming back, I can keep cleaning it, but I can also use strips of copper tucked underneath the upper layer of the shingles, and then or they actually have zinc sulfate strips you can use, but the zinc sulfate strips only last about a year. A piece of copper slid up underneath the shingles along the whole top edge of the roof will cause the rainwater will break down that copper and pulls it down over the algae and make sure that it doesn't continue to form. If you're going to do this, you want to start with a clean roof, and then go forward from there. Again, it's just not worth the effort for this small piece of roof. I'll just continue cleaning it. I got a feeling that after this job it won't come back, but either that or I'll be too old to worry about it. But in any case, here it is. Some people might wonder why I'm bothering going through all this. What happens when that moss continues to build up on a roof is it holds the water in that moss itself, and then eventually it permeates into and underneath the shingles. It breaks down the shingles and it gets into the wood. If the wood can't stay dry, it'll eventually rot. And as time goes on, it doesn't seem like it happens overnight, but as time goes on, that wood rots, and then you've got to replace it, or your roof will leak. And again, here it's just a small overhang. If the roof leaks, it's not going to be a big deal. But if it's on your house roof, it is a big deal. So if you can stop that damage from the rot and the moss and the rot and all that water in there, if you can stop it before it starts, then you're home free. So a little bit of effort right now is easier than replacing that entire roof. As I get older, I don't want to be up there doing that, and it doesn't look that great anyway. So that's the reason why we're doing this, and hopefully that other folks will learn from it and can adapt to their place. Okay. Well, that took it off pretty good. I'm really surprised at this. A little bit of elbow grease and a good cleaner. Um, the shingles are looking pretty good. They're holding down. The roof is about 13 years old. Of course, there isn't a heated space underneath, so you don't get that the warmth coming up out of the building, and there's a few little pieces of that stuff hanging there, but I'm confident that once it dries out and the sun hits it as much as it can, it'll kill it off. So it's good for now. At least I don't have to look at it and think about it. So let me see what other trouble I can get into today. Okay, so while I got the hose out and the bucket of soapy water, I'm going to scrub down these two chairs and this little table and see if I can't clean up this propane tank so it doesn't look so nasty before I put this stuff away for the winter. while I'm at it, I'm gonna check out this date, August 2011. That's when it was produced. I think they're only good for like so many years. I'm not sure how many years they are. 5 years, 10 years, and then they won't fill them again. So I have to go online and see how many years that is. Unless somebody knows, throw a note in the comments. But I got most of the dirt off. There's still some grease here. That's going to happen, I guess. So I keep 2 tanks, one that I'm using and empty one. And when I get close to running out, I run down and get another one. So someone told me years ago the best gauge for a propane tank is to have a second one ready to go. Then you really, even though you run out, you're never really interrupting a cookout or something. So I'll let this stuff dry in the sun and then on to my next project. So we've got this canopy that sits on a deck that's like 14 by 14. The canopy itself is 8 by 12, and we used to have a hot tub here. This was all enclosed. The little pathway going over there was the only way in and out. There was a solid wall right here next to us, solid wall on the back, and then lattice on either end. And it gave you privacy. It worked pretty well. And then after a while, the hot tub became a money pit, as they do. So, especially here in New England. So we got rid of it, and I converted it to this gazebo-like area. I got this, I don't know what you want to call it, a canopy or a tent. I got this at Lowe's, and it works really well. It has shades that pull across. There's a netting, and then there's a solid shade, and then so you tie those back on the corner. Then there's a corner piece that covers it all, and we never really open it up, you know, pull out the shades like that, but until we get ready to close it, and we do that to get any hornets out and moths and dry it out and everything. So this weekend we started the process of taking down the sides, pack those away in a bin in the basement. Let me show you what it looks like open. You can see how it's faded, and the pieces are just hanging there drying out. But I left the top up. The top has some issues. We had a couple windstorms, and these pine trees nearby here knocked off a few little branches, and there's some little holes there. There's one. Not enough to really hurt it, but you know, it's got a few years on it. There's another one up there, and you can see the spots where the pine sap is leaked down on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the top. I just simply go online and order a new one. So I'll leave this up for a little while longer. It's mid-September now, and I got maybe another month here, and then the top comes down, and then we wrap up these things. There's little holes up here in the square tubing. I like to cover those. I pull all these hooks back and wrap them up in plastic. I'll do a little video on it when I do it, and that keeps the water out of that square tubing, so it doesn't freeze and thaw and break it out. So I probably got 6 years on this, and it's holding up better than I thought it would. So I'm somewhat pleased, and considering it was like $500, it works well. It's nice in the summer. We sit out here, you know, private. So anyway, so I got the sides down, and we move on. And you know, I actually think it's coffee time. So talk to you later.